Has this ever happened to you while you're driving down the road? Well, if you want to know more about it, stay tuned. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 problems that we found with this second generation Chevy Silverado 2500. Just so you know, it's not all bad. These are just some things to keep in mind if you plan on buying one or already own one of these. A lot of the parts that we cover in this video are actually sold at oneauto.com, so if you need any of these or other ones, check us out, oneauto.com. Our first problem is going to be an ABS light that turns on your dash. And yes, if you have a scan tool, plug it in, check all the wheel speed sensors, make sure all of those are reading properly, check your wheel bearings, do all the basics. However, on these trucks, if you open the hood and you go underneath the battery tray, usually the ground that goes to the ABS system, pump really, corrodes. Basically, it doesn't complete the circuit anymore, it has no power, and it can't function, so it triggers that ABS light. So you're going to have to take the battery out, battery tray, disassemble everything, inspect the wire, replace whatever is necessary there, restore the connection, and then you should be good to go. The second problem I want to talk about is going to be a check engine light. That indicates that there is a problem with the gas cap. Whether it's loose because it just didn't get tightened the last time you got gas, or worn out, it needs to be addressed. Now when you take the gas cap off to inspect it, obviously look at all of this, but when you look at the filler neck, just because it looks good on the inside here doesn't mean it's still good on the outside underneath. So check that too, because if it's rotted and it has a pinhole or a larger hole, that's going to cause issues as well, and the truck is going to think it's got a bad gas cap when really the leak comes from the filler neck. Having said that, if you want to start by removing it, inspecting it, and just tightening it back up nice and snug, go ahead and do that. It may fix the issue if it's just not tightened properly. However, over time, it breaks down. There's an O-ring, an internal pressure relief valve, and those can just go bad over time. So it's as easy as replacing it, clearing the code, and you should be good to go. Our third issue is going to be a four-wheel drive problem, and you're going to notice this when the service four-wheel drive message appears on the dash. You'll see it written there, and this truck actually had that problem, which is why I have the transfer case motor right here, because a lot of times if it's not the switch, it's going to be this motor. When this goes bad, it's not necessarily going to be the motor that turns this gear in here, but it's actually the position sensor that's built into it. Yeah, it could be the motor, but oftentimes, especially if you don't use it very often, it will go bad internally, and because it's all one unit, one assembly, you're going to have to replace this whole motor as a unit, which is what I had to do on this truck to fix that issue, and then clear the codes and test it out. You want to make sure you put it into four-wheel drive to make sure that it engages properly once you install the new motor. Our fourth problem is going to be inner door handles. A lot of times these break because, well, as you can see, this one's already fairly wobbly. When you open these doors, the way they're set up is you pull it like this and you kind of pry the door open with your arm. And if you pry a little too hard, it snaps right off and you end up with the door handle in your hand and a door that doesn't open anymore from the inside. It's not that big of a deal to replace it. You just have to take the door panel off, but it is annoying. So when you use these, be gentle. Our fifth problem is going to have to do with the gauge cluster, and that's the clip you saw at the beginning of this video. I know that's not a Silverado, it's not this vehicle. However, that's exactly what the problem is, and that's what these clusters tend to do once these vehicles get older. All of the gauges, or sometimes some of the gauges, start working erratically, they bounce around, and it can be dangerous because you're not getting accurate information, whether it's speed, oil pressure, fuel, whatever might be that is not working properly, not a good thing. Unfortunately, the only way to fix this is to have it replaced or repaired. Getting it replaced by the dealer can get very expensive very quickly, so having it repaired is the option I would choose, because there are a lot of facilities out there that if you remove your cluster and send it out to them, they can fix it for you for a lot less than if you were to put a brand new one in. Bonus problem. The service stability message will appear on your dash, and if you scan it for codes, that's going to most likely lead you into a steering angle sensor issue. Whether you performed certain repairs and never recalibrated it, or it just plain went bad and the computer has no clue which direction the wheels are pointing, that's going to be an issue that you have to address, because when that's happening, the traction control or stability control is off. So in certain road conditions, that can lead to a safety issue.